It is time to name our season MVP. We have two candidates. We're going to do our player evaluation for one of them, and we're going to name the MVP in the other, plus big draft news for the Orlando Magic. It's time for a late Thursday edition of Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is April 21st, 2022. My name is Philip Rossrank. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to name our 2022 season MVP. Get excited about that. We'll also do our player evaluation for the runner-up for season MVP, as well as talk some draft news that came out just today as well. We'll talk about all that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we'd like to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, whether it's on your way home from work, while you're working out, whenever. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Obviously, when you're looking at a season like the Magic had, you're looking for little signs of growth and individual development. It's the big picture is more important than the small picture. If you're focused on wins and losses, obviously the Magic didn't have a good season. And there's a lot of reasons to say the Magic didn't have a good season. There's still a lot of concerns as they build things out. But there's also a lot of reason for optimism, a lot of reason to believe and see what this team is building. And certainly nothing's guaranteed. I'm not going to sit here and say for sure the Magic are on this clear playoff trajectory. Everything's in place. Everything is in line. No, there is still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of players that need to be added. There's still a lot of internal development that has to happen for the Magic to get even to a playoff level. Let's not even talk about championship level right now. Just a consistent playoff level. There's a lot of work to do. And so this podcast, this evaluation, is not to say the Magic are there. And I don't want to say the Magic are there or right there. The Magic still have work to do and a ways to go to get where they want to be. But this season was also about hope. I said it from the very beginning. What we want to see this year is an outline of who this team wants to be and a clear path forward. Again, like I said during the playoff runs in 19 and 20, you're only stuck if you don't have a way forward. That's where the Magic were in 2021. They got stuck. We all sensed it. We all felt it. They got stuck and they had to reset. You're only stuck if you don't have a way forward. So the question then for this season and how we're going to adjust or adjust for this season MVP is ask, what is the way forward? What gives us the most hope for the way forward? And it is for that reason that we are naming Franz Wagner our season MVP. The reason why Franz Wagner is the guy that best represents what this Magic team was this year. Franz Wagner was a healthy combination of good now and hope for the future. If anything, Franz Wagner left this season wanting more, left us wanting more from him. Probably left him wanting more from himself and eager to take that next step. And that's why Wagner is so representative of everything the Magic did this year and why we're still so high on him and what he can ultimately become. Franz Wagner had a fantastic season, of course, a fantastic rookie season, averaging 15.2 points per game, second on the team, and shooting 46.8% from the floor and 35.4% from beyond the arc. He played the first 78 games of the year, 79 total. He was the one guy that was truly available every single night and the one guy that the Magic could consistently count on for the same production seemingly every game. At a year that's with a young team that's full of inconsistency, Wagner was consistent. Wagner was the constant drumbeat. Wagner was the guy the team could count on to deliver every single night. That's not nothing. And the fact that he did it so well when rookies are typically terrible, maybe not as poor as the way Jalen Suggs may have played for parts of the season, but rookies are typically unreliable. They make a ton of mistakes, and Wagner certainly made mistakes too. But they could still rely on him for those 15 points, for those 10 to 15 points per game at the very, very least, and then some burst games with that. A 38-point game against Milwaukee, a couple 28-point games over the course of the season. Wagner was extremely impressive, blowing away all expectations and all anyone thought he could do. To the point that, there's people talking about, okay, are there some other underutilized college players who NBA scouts feel are really good that could make this kind of a leap quickly, the same way Franz did, the same way even like Scotty Barnes did to some extent. Wagner was that dude. It's just plain and simple. He was that dude. And he played extraordinarily well throughout the course of the season. The question then is, how does he take that next step up? And that's probably what we'll talk about when we get to his player evaluation for the season. But trust me, it'll be an A. It'll be a really good grade. But Wagner was just solid all the way around. And to be honest, Wagner's play left Magic fans wanting more. It was a constant story throughout the course of the season. Why isn't Franz getting more shots? He was second on the team in field goal attempts per game, by the way. It wasn't that he wasn't getting shots. Why isn't he on the ball more? His usage rate was around 20%. So he displayed incredible efficiency, incredible scoring on about an average usage rate. A usage rate is essentially the percentage of possessions that end with that player with a turnover or shot or free throw. Wagner had it, if everyone's equal in a completely egalitarian offense, everyone's at 20%. Wagner was at that 20%. It's incredible. It's incredible that Wagner was able to do so much with seemingly so little and so little opportunity, to be perfectly frank. That is part of what's so incredible and so enticing and promising about Wagner and the way that he played. And the big thing about this season, again, is it's not about today. It's about the future. It's about how things evolve. And certainly, Wagner has become representative of how this team hopes to evolve. He's versatile. He's team first. He moves the ball. He takes smart shots. He doesn't hold on to things too long. This is the way the Magic want to play. And that best embodies who this team is and who this team ultimately wants to be. And that's the reason why Franz is my season MVP. You don't give it to a rookie lightly. But he's a guy that pushed this team to be better. Gave this team a clear path forward, a clear look ahead to their future. And just continued to play extraordinarily well. Even as defenses shifted and changed, he continued to play well. The key for Franz is to continue to get better, to develop a little bit of a mid-range jumper, to get better finishing at the rim, to be a better defender, to take the experience from this season and improve. And there's no reason to think he won't do that. How much better is the real question. And again, that how much better, that fact that we're all so excited to see what he does next, that's the question that makes him the MVP of the season. So representative of what this team wanted to accomplish and how they're trying to push themselves forward. That's the truth of the matter. That's the truth of this season. And Franz had a heck of a rookie year. Clearly one of the best rookie seasons the Magic have ever seen from one of their guys. There's another guy that's worth mentioning in the MVP discussion for this season. We'll talk about Wendell Carter and how he shined in an expanded role coming up here in just a moment. But first, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting, stats, and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. Certainly a lot to recap after last night's exciting NBA action in the NBA playoffs. I can't do it justice. So check out the Locked On Now podcast today. Honestly, the obvious choice, I don't want to take anything away from Wendell Carter when I named Franz Wagner MVP. I really agonized over this choice. As the season was coming to a close, as guys were sitting out and the season was winding down, I was definitely thinking about how we recap and how we think about this season and how this season really developed for the Orlando Magic. It was definitely a big part of my thought process as we were coming to the end of the season was like, okay, what do we make of the season? What do we make of the individual performances this season and how guys continue to improve and get better? Wendell Carter had a fantastic year. I loved everything that Wendell Carter did this year. I think that he's a clear A player this season for what he needed to accomplish as a development, as individual growth. I think that he did so many good things and was so vital to this team. It's just apparent and obvious how good he is, and how much he grew and developed over the course of the season. The Magic don't function well without Wendell Carter. That's just the plain truth of it. The Magic do not function effectively without Wendell Carter out there. And that's impressive to say, to be perfectly honest. That's impressive to think about and to look at as the Magic try to figure out what comes next or how they develop and evolve as they continue to grow and develop. Wendell Carter, just when he came to Orlando, the knock on him was that he wasn't very consistent. No one could really figure him out. The Chicago experience was not good for him. There's obviously a rotating door of coaches. There's obviously that rotating door of coaches. There's not a lot of consistency, a lot of stability, and Carter's confidence was really shot. You could tell he was not making passes. He was not, he was hesitant to shoot. His defense was fine. There was injuries that slowed him down. Carter needed a fresh start and needed to come to Orlando to get a second chance. And he took advantage of that, to be perfectly honest. He shined in every way possible, it felt like, and really came into his own and became a clear leader on this team. He averaged, he averaged 11.7 points per game and grabbed 9 boards per game and 22 games with Magic in 2021. Bumped all those numbers up completely in his first full season in Orlando. I'm pulling them up right now because I thought I had them available. Averaging 15 points per game and 10.5 rebounds per game. He shot 52.5% from the floor, started taking threes, which would have been unimaginable in Chicago, and had a 57.6% effective field goal percentage. Carter did all the little things that are just so necessary for a team. He was a great passer. He was a great just kind of in-between player. He had that nice little slow pump fake that just froze defenses because he shot just enough to keep them off balance. Carter was a stalwart defender. And over the second half of the season, after coming back from an injury that kept him out for a little while from a hamstring injury, he upped all his averages, averaging around 18 points per game, averaging around 11 rebounds per game. He became just a centerpiece of this team and a centerpiece of what the Magic were trying to do. Orlando used him as a fulcrum. He was doing dribble handoffs, setting screens. Every action the Magic did that had a lot of success usually came with Wendell Carter either making the pass or setting the screen to spring someone free. Carter's intelligence and smarts on the basketball court, his good timing, his good passing really worked. And he made his versatility, his ability to defend on the perimeter, made that lineup with Mo Bamba work too, or work as well as it could have at least. Carter was just stunningly good. No one saw, everyone thought like, oh, he could be a solid player. No one probably thought he'd be a core player by the end of the year. And very much Wendell Carter, Franz Wagner, probably Markelle Fultz, probably Jalen Suggs. Those are your core players right now for this Magic team. Those are the core guys that you're really focused on. And if I'm being completely honest, Franz and Wendell are really the two guys that I am intensely focused on. Is like, okay, these are building block pieces. These are guys that you put up and they can hold the structure of this team up for a little while until you find a real star or a star comes along to really raise the ceiling of this group. That's why I'm talking about them in tandem, because Wendell and Franz just do every little thing that just kind of keeps this team supported, keep this team held up, and keep this team playing at anywhere near a high level. When those two guys came out of the game, the Magic were significantly worse. And it's not that the Magic were great with them on the floor. They still had a negative net rating, but comparatively, the Magic really struggled when one of Franz or Wendell were out of the game, and certainly when both were out of the game. They fill those gaps so well. They do the little things that teams need to find success. And now it's just about figuring out how to emphasize those skills and build them up even further. Wendell Carter was just so good. And I can't speak highly enough about him. It killed me not to give him MVP because he did so many good things and did so many things to just kind of push this team forward. And his development and his growth are going to continue to be so important for this team moving forward, and so important for this team as they keep trying to push forward and keep trying to build in the way that they're building. For the season, I think you got to give Wendell Carter an A, if we're giving him a grade, because he just did all the right things all the time. And it was just impressive to watch him grow and develop, and impressive to see him kind of take to that role more and more. What's next for Wendell Carter? That's certainly a good question. The biggest question is, can he move to center full time? He defended the Joel Embiid. He defended the best centers in the league instead of Mo Bamba. But his defensive versatility was super valuable. It does feel like the Magic are about to put him at center full time, put him as the full time starting center. With Jonathan Isaac coming back, with the potential to draft another 4 or Chet Holmgren, it feels like Carter's future is at the 5, and that shift is going to be interesting to watch and interesting to see if he could take on that center role full time, because he played a lot of 4. And he was effective at that spot. He was effective when the other big had Mo Bamba to occupy him. So there are certainly real questions about how things move forward. But certainly, too, Wendell Carter's contract feels like a steal right now. The extension the Magic got him on feels like a steal because he displayed and showed just how good he can be. And I think the Magic are interested to see just what comes next as well. We've had some draft news over the last couple of days that I want to address, since they're somewhat Magic related, I guess, or could be Magic related. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, I'm recording this kind of late. I got a little bit of a late start, had a morning appointment, but I wanted to get this episode out. So I am feeling hungry. I have not had my lunch yet. I had a very small breakfast because I was kind of running out the door in the morning. And so I'm gonna need that boost. After I'm done here, I'm gonna eat lunch, so I probably don't need the boost completely. But whenever I need that little energy boost because I'm hungry, I definitely turn to Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. It's better for you than a candy bar, but it gives you that candy bar taste. It gives you that chocolate fix that we all need. We all have it. It's okay to admit it. Built Bars are covered in 1% real chocolate. They're low calorie, high protein, so you can replace your candy bars with these, get a healthy snack alternative, and still get that chocolate fix. Go to Built.com, scroll down, check out the macros. You'll be blown away. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, usually has almost double of each of those, if not more. They come in great flavors like mint brownie, coconut almond, and I can tell you that the flavors taste exactly like what they say on the packaging. You get a German chocolate one, you get the German chocolate. You get cinnamon churro, it tastes like a cinnamon churro, and those are actually puffs, so they have a little marshmallow in there. Every flavor that I've tried, I've been blown away with how good the taste is, which I don't think you could typically say about protein bars on the market. Go to Built.com today, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. Kind of the big news in the Magic world, besides the Terrence Ross stuff, is everything seems to be confirmed that Terrence Ross wants to trade out of Orlando, is ready to play for a contending team again. I talked a little bit about that on yesterday's show. The big news for the Orlando Magic is that, yes, the draft board is starting to fill out and starting to really solidify. Yesterday, on Wednesday, Paolo Banchero officially declared for the NBA draft. The Duke forward, it was really a revelation, was one of the best players in the nation, one of the best players in the NCAA tournament, played exceptionally well. He's a 6'8", I want to say 6'9", probably 6'10" forward. Really good scorer, just really good off the bounce, really good scoring instincts. A developing shooter, but I think a better shooter than people give him credit for, a better passer than I think people give him credit for. And if anyone could convince him to defend, he could be a really good defender too. By my book, Banchero is probably the most like a star guy that you will see in this draft class. I think that he's the best one-on-one skills in the draft. I think he's got the best scoring ability in this draft off the bounce. I think he's got the best kind of scoring instinct, if that makes sense, just one-on-one scoring instinct of any player in this draft. I think that he is someone that could very well be picked number one. He was number one for a long time in the draft process, had a little bit of a downturn in January, February that kind of knocked him out of that top group. Jabari Smith came. Chet Holmgren's always been up there. He's very clearly a top 3 pick in this draft. I think it'd be crazy if he doesn't land in the top 3. So Banchero is really, really good. And I don't think he's out of the question for the Magic at number 1. I don't think he's out of the question for anyone at number 1. This is a really talented player. This was an expected move, obviously, for Banchero to declare for the NBA draft, but now he's there. Now you get to really kind of separate your board and figure things out where he actually fits and really dive into him. The big news today, and I'm kind of glad that I'm recording late so I could get this news in, Shams Charania, I believe, is the first to report, or was one of the first to report. Kentucky guard Shaedon Sharpe will also declare for the NBA draft, and he's expected to stay in despite reports and thoughts that he may test the waters, go back to Kentucky, or just stay at Kentucky outright. If you haven't heard of Shaedon Sharpe, that is perfectly understandable. Shaedon Sharpe sat out the entire year at Kentucky. Kentucky held him out because of eligibility concerns. He graduated a year early, enrolled at Kentucky a year early. Kentucky was not sure if the NCAA would clear him. They didn't want the will he, won't he play throughout the course of the season, so they declared very early on in the year that they were not playing Shaedon Sharpe. He did practice with Kentucky all year. Kentucky, obviously, a really good team. A 2 seed, I believe, in this year's tournament. Oscar Tshiebwe was the National Player of the Year. He is going back to Kentucky, becoming the first National Player of the Year to do so since Tyler Hansbrough. But to some people, Shaedon Sharpe might be the best player in this draft. He is a guard, a really good scoring guard, but no one's seen him play for a year. He's obviously sat out the entire year. It's hard to glean much from high school footage and from AAU footage. But Sharpe is a really intriguing prospect. And obviously, if honestly, like I sit here, there are 6 guys I'm really comfortable taking in this draft. 6 guys that I feel very, very confident in this draft. Honestly, it might be 7 if I had Ben Mathurin. But between Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, Jaden Ivey, Keegan Murray, and Shaedon Sharpe, the Magic are going to pick someone that's going to help them. Honestly, Jaden Ivey, I think is honestly the guy that I'm most concerned about in this draft class. But he also has one of the higher ceilings in this draft class. And Ben Mathurin is 7. There are 7 guys that I'm pretty comfortable taking, and I feel like will have a key role in this draft. Now, who among them are potential stars? I think Banchero, I think Jabari Smith, I think Chet Holmgren, I think Shaedon Sharpe, and I think Jaden Ivey are your potential stars. So that's 5 guys. So obviously the Magic still have a chance to not land one of the top players in this draft, or land guys who can who potentially could make a real change to this franchise and real change to this team. Because I think honestly, the big thing everyone knows that the big thing the Magic are missing is a star, just to tie it all together and kind of set players into proper roles and set players into the roles that they need to be in. I think that Shaedon Sharpe could very well be that guy, but again, no one really knows. No one's seen him play now for a year. No one's seen him seen him on the court in such a long time that it's hard to say. It's hard to know exactly what to expect or what a team might get from him, and that's the honest truth. That's the honest thing about this is we got to, you got to really dig into the tape. You got to really dig into what people are saying, what people who've played around him know. You got to really dig into him as a person to bet on a person like him. I don't think it's a bad bet. It wouldn't surprise me if the Magic would have Shaedon Sharpe higher than some people on their board. It wouldn't surprise me if he's if he's lower on their board because he hasn't played. But this is a big development, obviously, for the NBA draft. And again, I feel comfortable with 7 guys in this draft. So I'm not sweating where the Magic land in the lottery. Obviously, the higher, the better. I'm not here to debate that part of the question, but I think the Magic are in a really good position on draft night and will be in a solid spot. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked on Magic. I apologize for coming out a little bit late on this Thursday, but I still hope you enjoy this episode. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter at PhilipR_MD. Follow the podcast or subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, all of the places download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA podcast from the first jump ball of the play-in tournament to the last possession of the finals. Locked On experts take you deep inside the playoffs with insight and analysis affecting all 30 teams. We truly appreciate you for tuning into the Locked On Podcast Network and making us part of your day every day. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.